Hello YouTubers, this is Engineer Pat 5290, and today we're actually going to be repainting part of this shop door. Although from me liking trains, I'm also into hardware and also a lot of painting. Today we're actually going to be painting this shop door. It looks old and it looks like it's pretty worn down, but today I've decided to repaint this shop door. When it comes to painting, you have to remember what type of materials you're going to need. First of all, you need a 1.5 inch brush for your inside part of the door where all the trim is, a monster 4-inch brush to get the wide areas on the door. You're also going to need an old hammer and an old screwdriver or a paint can opener, which is preferable, to open your can of paint, and of course the color paint you want. Now let's talk a little bit about the two different kinds of paint. You have latex paint, which is water-based, and oil-based, which is based with oil. With latex, to wash out your brushes, you use warm soapy water, or just regular hot water. With oil-based, you use mineral spirits. But today, we're going to be using latex. My personal favorite kind of paint is latex. Now, probably the paint choice is your choice. I preferably go with Valspar. Valspar is good. It actually is a little bit better than Sherwin-Williams, and you can get it exclusively at Lowe's. So, we're getting ready to paint the inside portion of this door on this little paint here. So we take a brush it off, and you just start. This is called cutting in, which cutting in means you get all the trim that's inside of your walls and or a door like this. You get all the trim done first before you get to the paint part itself. Okay? Common question is, why do you cut in? In case you do actually get a little paint on this, it will actually blend in with the paint that is currently drying instead of getting all over something else like brick or yourself. So, all of this has been cut in, as you can see. This is what you do if you were painting a wall inside your own house. Now, we start covering the inside of this paint. And just remember, nice even strokes. Nice even strokes means it comes out very, very nice. If you have any runs in your paint, just smooth it out with your brush. This used to be more like a grayish type white, and you can see it's been worn down by the sun and a lot of weather. So it's really important to paint your doors every so often. Like, this door was probably put up about 40 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. So it's about time for a repaint. And as you can see, this whole section is finished. And you can also do the upper areas, like so. You do exactly the same procedures. Paint is also good to fill in splits in the wood. Like, this door has a lot of splits in it. When I did this first section, it covered up a lot of the splits. Like right there, it's gone. So, make sure you get all your corners well, because that's where paint likes to gather, is up in your corners. So, right there, it's all cut in. Now you're ready to do the middle. Alright, go up and down with your brush. If a bristle actually comes out of your brush, which it ordinarily does, just push it out, just push it down, and just try to get it out. Okay? So that's pretty much how to cut in and also fill in the square of the door. Now you just let it sit on there for a little while, and that area is dry. So now with part 2, we will actually be using the 4-inch brush. So I hope this is giving you a good idea of how to paint part of the door. And in part 2, we'll flip on over to the next brush. So we will be right back. Hello YouTubers, and we are back with part 3. Now we're getting ready to do a little bit of woodwork with this. As you can see down here, that this little area right here on this door needs a lot of work. especially right here. Now when you're looking at this, you have to figure out, how am I going to get to remove this latex paint? Well, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can use a very simple putty knife, or you can use sandpaper for the wide areas. But for this tight area, we're going to be using a very simple putty knife. So, you find an area you want, and you just start scraping across it like this. If you do get scratches on the existing paint, that's okay, because the new paint will cover that right up. I'm not going to take a lot of this off. So we'll try to make this smooth as possible so the paint will ride over easily. So now for this wide area, we're going to use the sanding block and sand it smooth. Now this is 60 grit paper. The lower the number, the more rough the grit is. Now the higher the number, the finer the sandpaper is. Now you can see that's nice and smooth. So, now that part is set. Now we can finish this paint up here. Alright, using a 4-inch brush now. As you can see there, more of that crack is filling in. See there now, over the area we just sanded, it covers better if you sand first. See there? You might have a couple thin spots, you might have to go back over it with a second coat. That's okay. Alright, now we can go ahead and get this part. Oops. Well, I have the 4-inch brush. Now here I'm just blending in with the paint that I've already applied with some new paint that's going onto the door. Another way you can fix cracks is use some Elmer's wood putty. It's just a lot like spackling, but it's designed for wood. You put it on there with a putty knife or even your finger. Let it sit on there for a little while, then sand it over, then it's a paintable surface. So now we can take a look back. You can look, that whole door has been painted. On here up on the top, I should say. A little spot I missed up there. And I'll do the bottom part here in just a few minutes. So I wanted to go over that with you again, just so you can get a good idea. I'm going to work on this door and we'll be right back. Alright YouTubers, we are back with part 4 of this video. Now we are getting ready to do the trim. The trim seems like it's complicating, but it's not. First, get your 1.5-inch brush. Let everything else dry on the door. Put some paint on it. And just start applying it. So I'm getting up here at the top. And then I eventually go into the inside and do that. Just be careful not to slosh paint everywhere like I just did. Got a little bit on the concrete. Now this I'm going to have to go back and do a second coat. That's not unusual. Getting a little bit here at the bottom real quick. Alright, as you can see, that's good for right now. Now I'll go ahead and move the camera, give you a better. Now we're getting ready to do the inside of this piece of trim. see where all the paint has been spattered. That's okay, because we're going to blend that stuff in with more paint. Take your brush, hold it up and down, just go north to south. You paint big surfaces, you go east to west, long ways. So I'm going to give the hinges a nice little fresh look. Some people can take the door off and paint it like that. But I figure if I leave this intact, it'll save me a lot of time and aggravation. So that's why I'm doing it like this, so I won't have to bend over. Okay? Alright, tilt it down. You can watch me do the bottom. Alright, that's one coat of paint on the trim. That's just one section. I have 3 sections. I have the upper section and the left section. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of work on some of this, and we're getting ready to do the top here in just a second here. When you work on the top, you're going to need a ladder. I will go back and get a ladder, and we'll work up here on the top and show you a couple different trims. So we'll be right back in just a couple of minutes. Hello YouTubers, we are back with part 5, I believe. Part 4, part 5. Now we are getting ready to do the top trim. Okay, I'm actually on a ladder, and that's why you got a different angle right now, so you can actually really get to see me do this. See, using a 1.5 inch brush, I'm getting the tight areas along the edge. I'm cutting in, just like before. You're doing many of the different techniques. Hold on a second. When you're working with the door and the wind's blowing, make sure you have something to prop it up against, like a brick or something heavy. Okay. See here, get it right under there. Alright, and see here we've done the top molding part way, actually halfway now because I'm going to that spot. Under here, under the knees, we're probably not going to be doing this because it's going to be in the inside and it will not be seen. So that's this part. Okay, now I'll do the other side here in just a few minutes. Now while the door is open, we're getting ready to do this part. The jamb part of the door. Okay? Using once again our 1.5 inch brush. Real simple to do. Run your brush north to south. It covers all the door. See, theirs has a very nice even coat of paint on it. Okay, I'll go ahead and do the bottom. The bottom is nothing different, you just do the same procedures. Okay, okay, get around here. I can give that a whole painting there. Anyway, well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Freshly repainted door. And now we can a view back of both doors. You can really tell there's a lot of difference in the door. And I think the white is going to really look good with this door. So anyway, there's your project. Hello YouTubers, now we are back with part 2. Now we're getting ready to do the big boy stuff. We're actually going to be using this monster 4-inch brush to start painting the actual door. Alright, it's basically like everything else. You don't have to cut in with this. You do not have to cut in. So, we're going to take the brush, get some paint on it. And remember, make sure you wear clothes that don't mind getting a little paint on. So, you brush it on there. As you can see, the part of this door was gray at one point. And this is where a latch used to be, but I actually took some 80 grit sandpaper and just sanded all that smooth. So the paint will ride over it very nicely. So, now another common technique is blending in. A lot of people ask, what does blending in mean? Well, what it means is you blend it with the paint that has already been applied. And that's okay. See here, I've covered this. And we'll do the trim a little bit later. With the 1.5 inch brush, we'll do the trim part in part 3. As you can see, I'm just going, whoops, all the way across, nice even strokes, filling in the old paint. This is the cross part of the door. You can move your brush like this, up and down, and you won't have any spatter on the previous parts that you've painted. See, that right there is just blending in. I'm blending in some wet paint with paint that I have already used on the upper part. See, now we're ready to go back and forth. See, look at that. You see, it's filling in all these gaps. It will also do the same with walls when you spackle. Sometimes you can save a little spackle by using just a little bit of paint. See, right here at the doorknob, point the camera down so you can see this. I am not getting near the doorknob. I will go back over it with the 1.5 inch brush. You have to do a circular motion to get that painted. And tilt the camera back up so you can watch me do a little more painting here. Plus, I'm not getting the hinges either. I'm going to eventually go back over them with some more paint, but just for right now, we're going to do it like this. Alright, now we're going to do the right side. Right where I've already spattered a little bit of paint on that gray trim. Alright. Go like this so we won't run into already what we've cut in. And plus it gets rid of the dings, it gets rid of all the dirt prints and everything. Before you know it, you won't even know those dings were there. Go and get the top. Alright. I just got to get this little part right here. This one I didn't cut in very well. Just going back over it to get all of that. And see, I'm just using a 4-inch brush because that's what I have. But you would really have to go back over this with a 1.5 inch brush, or even an inch brush would be good enough. Okay? So now we see this half of the door has been painted with Valspar. Okay, Okay. Now we're going to get ready to do the doorknob. Right there. Oops. Now this is probably the hardest part to do because you don't want to mess up the doorknob. So, take a little bit of paint. It does not take a lot. Get a 1.5 inch brush. Get up here. You can also touch up while you're here. See how carefully I'm doing this so I won't make a really, really big mess of this. Okay? Get a little bit on the doorknob. It's not going to matter because this door is obviously going to be outside. So there's the doorknob. Alright. You can see right there that whole area has been painted and not a whole lot of paint on the doorknob. So anyway, that's half of the door. I'm getting ready to do the bottom part here in a second, so I move the camera on down. And we're actually going to be cutting in some more of the trim here, so we get down under here and I can actually get to see this. So, I do this carefully. But if you accidentally get a little piece of dried paint in there, it's okay. You just have to smooth it out some. I should be sanding that part. If you have chipped paint like this, it's best to sand it. I didn't sand this part because I didn't think about it, but we'll get to this in just a second. Okay. See, I've already cut in this. Alright. Switch brushes. See these splits right here? The paint just covered it right up. Paint will give this door a very nice, good looking finish. You can see there. It's all done. Alright. Now we're getting ready to do the other panel. Cut in again and do the same thing. And for ones of you who are going to do this, so my several doors that I've painted a lot of doors over the years. I actually just learned how to do this from watching my dad and a lot of people just doing it. It takes some practice. It takes a lot of practice. You will make some mistakes. But the best news is, try not to make as many mistakes. I'm only going to cut in part of this door because that bottom part right there I'll have to sand. There you go. Split's been covered. Alright, that will be part 2 right now. In part 3, we'll actually look at the sanding portion, and we'll also be starting to do a little something else. So we will be right back.